name's Deanna, and I've done several live videos with CKC, and I just wanted to come on here and do a tutorial today on grading your pattern. I've shown it several times on a live video, but I know sometimes that can kind of get lost in the whole video, so I thought it'd be good to have a place you could go to just see how to grade a pattern. So the pattern I'm using today is Deborah's, and it is a very popular pattern in my opinion. If you see all of the boutiques online, they post a dress usually around summer or fall or like springtime. You know, it's got a high bust, waistline here, and then a long maxi skirt, and that you can accomplish with Deborah's. The pattern is already meant for it. That was kind of the inspiration behind. I helped test the pattern, and you know, as we were going along, kind of made some suggestions, and we kind of came to the realization between me, everyone who tested it, but that, you know, this would be a great option so that people didn't have to hack patterns. It was already there, ready to go, and perfect for this kind of thing. So so this pattern is great for that. The one thing that you have to know about grading, and I'll just do a little bit of background here, is that the nice thing about making your own clothes is that you can make them to fit your body. Not everybody's body is the same, and that's what makes us all wonderful, right? And so the thing that I love the most about sewing is that I have learned how to grade my patterns for me, and I make them work for my body, and that really helps me go from pattern designer to pattern designer, be it with CKC or other things that can really help me know exactly how a pattern's gonna fit and make sure that it fits me correctly every time, and I don't have too many alterations to make. So the first thing that you should always do every time you make a pattern is you should measure your bust, and that I'm going to show you how I do it. You have to excuse me, I'm pregnant, so my bust is a little bit bigger than it usually is, and I have a little bit bigger of a belly, so so it's different. But when you measure your bust, and you can do it yourself, you don't have to have someone do it for you. You want to go around the fullest part of your chest, right? So the fullest part of your chest, and whatever that is, that's the bust measurement you go off of. Then your waist is at your natural waist. Now, it's kind of hard to see on me right now, but any picture you look at that kind of has a body shape, your shape may not be this way, but wherever when your shape starts to go in, that's your natural waist. It's not always your belly button, sometimes it is. But for me, I have a short waist, so where my natural waist is right about here, whereas my belly button's all the way down here, so it would be, this would be, you know, this could be some people's waist, but this is where my belly button is, but this is where my natural waist is. So when a designer says, sorry, I dropped my tape measure, a waist measurement, you want to make sure that's always at your natural waist. Unless it says otherwise, but most designers that I've found are definitely at your natural waist, and you're going to do that there, okay? And write that measurement down. And then the other big one is your hip measurement, and that's going to go all the way around your booty. Get that booty in there and across your hips. So just remember, when you do your bust and your hips, you want the fullest part, okay? And get that measurement and write it down. Now, probably what you'll find, if you're finding this video interesting, is that your measurements put you in 1, 2, sometimes even 3 different size ranges. And so that's when grading really helps. So the best thing to do for that, so for me, before I was pregnant, but even now still, I'm smaller up here as far as like at the top where my shoulders are. My range here like is short and small. I'm small up here. So if I make the size for my waist up here at my chest and shoulders, always too big and always hangs funny and always just, it never looks right. So I go down one size and it works perfect. So my measurements before I was pregnant, but even now, I've made it already and it's worked just fine, is an extra large for CKC graded to a 2X. So I print out my pattern to have an extra large and a 2X, which is the great thing about having the layers on the patterns. If you don't know about the layers, you should definitely check them out because it really helps, first, one, save on ink, and two, help you know exactly what sizes and where to cut and things like that, especially if you don't need to grade. But it helps immensely if you do, because then you get two sizes on one. So I am going to show you Deborah's and what I've done with Deborah's to make it work for me. So according to my measurements, I need an extra large for the top and for my shoulders and here on my sleeves, but then I need to grade to a 2X. Okay, so right here, this would be this right here underneath your arm. It's hard to tell because this is a dolman, so that I guess this doesn't really help, but goes typically here, goes across the bust at the top, and even depending on how long the thing is, but usually you know this is the general bust area. And so I start to grade out from here so that by the time I get to the waist, I'm exactly at a 2X. Now when I do it, I usually start actually at the bottom, so 2X, so that my grade goes up exactly. Now this ends up being pretty straight. On this pattern, it doesn't always, but on this pattern, for whatever reason, it ended up almost looking like a straight line. But I made one the other day and it worked fine. But if you want a little bit more in, you can always go in a little bit more on the waist. This could also be because I'm pregnant and I need a little extra space right now. But you can see how this line here that goes in is the extra large line. So this, what is it, pink or fuchsia line here, may even be red. This line is the extra large, and the line that would be here is the 2X. Now, so I graded, so the 2X line actually goes out pretty far, and I took it off and graded to here. Does that make sense? Okay, so I did the same thing for the back piece, because I wanted to make for sure my front and back matched up. And so because Deborah's is a top and then you add a skirt, since my waist needs to be a 2X, then I make the skirt part the measurements of the 2X. And anything else that I do, I follow the 2X. But when I put the neckband on, that's the extra large. So try to keep that in mind. Whatever size you made, if you're putting a neckband or armbands, if you're not doing sleeves, for whatever pattern you're using, wherever you are, whatever size you cut out, that's the size you make for the band or what have you. So if I were making a top and putting a band like on the bottom, I would make sure that that band was a 2X and not an extra large, because otherwise it'd be too small. And so for my arms, I always need a little extra in my arms, and so this is actually called a bicep measurement, and I will not profess to be an expert on full bust adjustments. I've actually never done one. There's plenty of videos out there that can show you how to do a full bust adjustments, and there's certain things that certain measurements that you can determine if you need a full bust adjustment or not, and I can add those into the comments or whatever to help you all in case you do need a full bust adjustment. I didn't want to go through that because, like I said, I've not done one. I don't need one for my size that I make. I can just grade and that works for me. But I do need a bicep adjustment, and basically it's the same thing as what you do on the top, but instead of doing it on the top, you're doing it on your sleeve. So I had my my extra large and 2X cut out, and all I did was right after the underarm, so this would go basically to under your arm, I know I immediately need extra space. So I kind of grade to it, but then I end up going back to the regular sleeve because I don't need it towards the end. So you can tell there's extra over here, and then this line would be the extra large line, but I need a little bit extra in my sleeve, so I bump it out just a little bit to give myself a little extra room. I hope this was helpful for everyone. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Like I said, I'm not an expert, but this is what I found really, really works for me. And I hope this will help somebody kind of understand a little bit how to grade for your body. Like I said, if you need a full bust adjustment, that's a little bit different of a technique, and it's great, and it would be, you know, work really well for a lot of people, but sometimes just grading your pattern can be helpful as well. And so I hope this helps you all, and thank you so much for watching.